the 8th Army fought its way through the Sangro Valley. Their attack on Ortona was met by determined Nazi resistance. Powered by tanks, the Germans counterattacked desperately. For 18 days, tank battles and hand-to-hand infantry fighting raged through the streets. The Germans were finally driven into the northwest corner of the town. Outfought, exhausted, the enemy pulled out. The 8th pressed after them. The tide of battle swept over Ortona and left it in its wake. When General Eisenhower visited the Central Front, it was 3 months since we had crossed the Volturno. We had advanced 12 miles in this sector, sometimes at the cost of a man a yard, and were facing Cassino, key to the strong Gustav line, which the Germans had orders to hold at all costs. Cassino lies on the northern slope of the Liri Valley, through which runs the Via Casilina, highway number 6. Possession of the valley and the mountains overlooking it from both sides would take us forward to the foot of the last mountains, barring our way to Rome. Our plan was to force the Rapido River both to the north and south of the town. While the southern force maintained pressure, the northern unit was to circle through the mountains behind it, clean the Germans out of their positions there, and storm the town from north and rear. At Hangman's Hill, this unit fought for days. Other vantage points changed hands again and again. Finally, another force which had crossed the Rapido from the south fought its way into 1/3 of the town. There, superb enemy resistance turned the battle into a stalemate. The Gustav line ran across the peninsula and was anchored at Cassino. To break the stalemate, we tried an end run, amphibious landings at Anzio and Nettuno. The Germans were caught off guard, and for several days, American and British troops encountered only light opposition as they landed and consolidated the beachhead. It was up to the German High Command to determine the importance of this new threat to their flank and rear. Marshals Rommel and Kesselring decided against falling back and brought in 13 fresh divisions from their dwindling strategic reserves. More and more, we were accomplishing our objective of diverting Nazi divisions from the Western and Russian front. Heavy Luftwaffe raids supported those 13 divisions as they sought to drive us into the sea. Back 3 powerful German attacks, holding the 100 square miles of beachhead area with innumerable small infantry fights, and tremendous artillery barrages. We paid a heavy price to hold the Anzio beachhead in casualties, and in men captured by the enemy, shown in these Nazi films. Back at Cassino, the fight continued. The Germans held an obvious advantage by their occupation of the Benedictine Abbey above the town. They were asked to abandon it and refused. We had no alternative but to bomb the abbey to save soldiers' lives. month later, 543 Allied planes tried to blast the enemy out of the town with a load of 1,144 tons of bombs. The Germans took cover in caves and tunnels. Behind the fighting at Cassino, preparations were underway for Phase 2 of the campaign, the all-out assault. Phase 1, the preliminary campaign, was drawing to an end. Reinforcements and great quantities of new equipment were brought in. Our forces were regrouped, British and Polish troops in the Liri Valley, Americans in the west along the Garigliano River, the French Expeditionary Corps in the center. By sunset, May 11th, preparations had been completed. All along the front, the German-dominated heights were under the muzzles of Allied guns. At 11 p.m., they went into action. By dawn, the big push was well underway. General Alexander, commander of the Allied forces in Italy, told his troops that to them had fallen the honor of striking the first blow in the great final invasion of Fortress Germany. Between Cassino and the western coast, the powerful blows launched by the British, Poles, French, and Americans shattered the Gustav Line. By May 17th, only Cassino remained in German hands. Behind tanks hampered by the wreckage, British, Indian, and Polish troops fought their way in. On May 18th, Cassino fell, and the Gustav Line had ceased to exist. Prisoners were brought in on every sector of the front. Thousands more were slain. The men who were taken alive were beaten, exhausted, hopeless. The power of our offensive was written in their dazed, haunted faces. But there were still 17 German divisions in Italy that had to be battered to pieces. The Adolf Hitler line swung back like a gate, then crumbled beneath the sledgehammer Allied blows. On May 23rd, the Anzio troops broke out of their beachhead area, and 2 days later the two groups met at Borgo Grappa. After 4 months of anguished fighting, the beachhead forces had accomplished their mission, to threaten the German rear and compel them to fall back. The road to Rome was lined with the wreckage of Nazi legions, blasted by Allied air power as they fled before the reunited Fifth Army. In 12 days, the mounting fury of the Allied drive threw the Nazis back to the outskirts of Rome. Films taken by Italian anti-fascists show the evacuation of Rome, one of the greatest blows of the war to Nazi prestige. The streets were deserted as the Nazis left. After 21 years, a free Rome laughs again. A free Rome speaks again. A free Rome reads again. A free Rome assembles in the Piazza San Pietro to receive the Pope's blessing. Free Rome prays, remembering the dead.